Good evening, everyone. Here's another Rapid Rambles where we take a look at anything indie, mod, or retro related with some gameplay and or first impressions. So, today's game is actually a pretty fun one. My first roguelike since starting this channel, apart from Risk of Rain 2. The game is called Ball X Pit or Ball Pit. I think it has the same naming scheme as like Hunter x Hunter. You're not supposed to pronounce the X in the middle. But I digress. So this game was developed by Kenny's Son and Friends, and it's a roguelike Brick Breaker game with a lot of roguelike aspects similar to like Risk of Rain or Hades. It's has a very addicting gameplay loop, and as well as like kind of like a hub world kind of deal. So like, which kind of makes like the cherry on top on like games like Super Mario 64 and like Mario Sunshine and Donkey Kong 64. So you start off pretty basic like on most roguelites. As you keep trying and failing, you will progress your base power and then also unlock more items as you go. But also, you start off with one character. It's the basic knight, well, the warrior actually. He doesn't have any special powers or quirks. I'll get to what kind of quirks look like later on, but for example, the warrior. So the way you start off is you're traveling upwards towards a path and trying to destroy monsters on the way. There's monsters coming down similar to like, I don't know, like Galago.
All right, it's Saturday night. I have no date, a 2-liter bottle of Shasta, and my all-rush mixtape. Let's rock.
Or Brick Breaker, where they keep coming down at you slowly, but you have to kill them before they reach the end, or they get too close to you, or else you'll start taking damage, and then you'll eventually die, and it's game over, and you have to start again. But it does it in a way where like there is RNG, but it's also skill based. I haven't felt this addicted to a game since, like I mentioned, Risk of Rain 2, which I've dropped hundreds of hours onto. So like, and it's not, maybe I haven't, there might be like an endless loop stage I haven't touched yet, but you start off, for example, like with you choose like the warrior, and then like even though it says like there's no special characteristics for the warrior, you start off with one item. So let me get back to that later. But so the warrior, like you go to the boneyard and then you start playing and you start progressing, and say for example, so the way you level up, not your base power but within each game, is by destroying the monsters and then collecting little jewels. You have to actually pass over them, and then once you collect the jewels and level up, each time you level up you get the choice of 3 items, and which you can also stack, but I'll get to that eventually. So there's like bleed, lightning bolt, earthquake, sun items, like they'll make it so if your balls hit the right side of the enemy, there's a higher chance of critting. There's healing, there's some for like increasing your armor, and you have a total of 6 slots max capacity, which I still haven't hit like a 7th item yet, so I haven't had the need to dispose one of my items. Because to make this game more interesting, there's also these combination items where they're sporadically dropped, or when you defeat like a boss, where you have, sometimes it'll give you the option to fuse 2 items that are compatible or evolve them, which, say for example, you have a level 3 lightning and then like a level 2 earthquake. You get to fuse them, which they'll start from, you'll have a lightning X earthquake at level 1 again, but its base power far exceeds the level 3 and level 2, and it stacks, and it becomes, that specific lightning X earthquake becomes part of the item pool for each time you leveled up within the game, within each round. So say for example, you collect enough jewels, and then you're greeted with the menu where you choose one of 3 items. Your first one could be the bleed item, the second one could be the lightning X earthquake, and the third one could be the cloak of invisibility. So you choose one of those three, and then and then like you progress forward. And for example, evolution is kind of different from fusion, because fusion, it just takes one base power and one base item and another base item and just like smushes them together. But like for example, lightning and earthquake, we'll take that example again. Lightning and earthquake create lightning X earthquake. But say for example you had you had leech and bleed, you'll evolve them together because they're compatible items, and it'll create a whole new item, which gives evolving your two items gives you a stronger upgrade than you would get by just fusing them. But either way, and that fusion is a lot stronger than two individually items that are keep getting stacked. I don't know if this is getting confused. Hopefully I'll have some like visuals up on the video, but this gameplay is simple, the loop is addictive, and there's a lot of depth within the upgrading system within each round, and you can unlock characters. So we're still on the warrior. He has no characteristics, but you start off with one bleed item, so that's not really a characteristic for the warrior. It's more so just starting off with one item. For example, the first character I unlocked is the Achy Finger. He is description a disgraced deputy. I have to actually go back to the gameplay. I know this is me rambling or whatever, but so the way this works is like you don't just shoot one ball, you shoot your main ball, and then like I think like you start off with like 4 baby balls. So like you'll shoot the ball in one angle, and then you're met with the cursor that kind of shows you what the trajectory that it would possibly bounce off of. So like it'll hit one enemy, bounce off with another, and then off a wall. But you gotta remember that the enemies are constantly moving downward towards you, so the trajectory isn't 100% accurate, but you can mitigate that with like speed items, and then like faster attack speeds. The speed of your ball and then attack speed are two different things. So the speed of a ball is like how fast the ball is gonna reach your target, and then the attack speed is how fast you launch them. So they bounce around and then they eventually come back to you, and then you shoot again. I tend to have auto aim on, and then that's the thing, you can have auto aim on but you walk slower, whereas opposed to like you can turn it off and you'll walk faster, but you have to manually keep clicking down the mouse button in order to shoot your volley of balls. There are some items that increase your baby balls. There are some items that you'll give up speed for power, and then vice versa, you can give up power for speed. But I digress. I'm going back to the first character I unlocked is the Achy Finger, Disgraced Jeopardy. So he has, instead of like for example the warrior, like he just shoots wherever the cursor is pointed, but the Achy Finger it'll shoot in that general direction, but like it's kind of scattered shot, like a shotgun kind of deal, but it shoots a lot faster. And then he starts off with one burn item, the item burn or whatever, which is another common item that you can use to stack, to fuse, or to evolve. So the gameplay loop, and then the way you complete the game and progress is you have to be like, say for example the first stage is the boneyard, so you have to complete that stage with at least 2 characters in order to collect 1 gear each, and then that will allow your elevator, which is part of your main hub world, to traverse downward. So right now like I'm at the snowy shores and I beat it with the warrior. Now I gotta beat it with the Achy Finger, and then like it took me a few tries because I don't know if it's just RNG or like a skill issue, but like I mentioned, you have your base power and then you have leveling up within that level. So the more times you try to beat a stage with the character, the more you'll get more permanent experience points for his permanent level. Like for example, my warrior is at level 8, but okay, so his permanent level is at level 8, but once you start within that level, he'll start at level 1. if you get he'll have the base stats of a level 8, but he'll start off at level 1, and then you'll slowly progress as you level up by equipping items as each time you level up. And then also you get temporary stat boost that only lasts within that level, and then you revert back to your original level 8. You do have to try it a few times in order to beat the level. That way you can increase your base stats. So that's pretty much for the gameplay. It's a fun loop, but going back to like the hub world, there's even more to unlock. So as you progress, you also earn money and resources, so like gold, wood, stones, and then use that in the hub world in order to unlock different buildings. Like for example, you can buy a wheat farm, and then like a forest, or a wheat farm in order to harvest more wheat, a forest in order to harvest more wood, boulders in order to harvest more stone for like cobblestone buildings that you eventually get into, like the shoemaker's office, and then the clinic, and then that stuff, the schoolhouse. They all give you different stat boosts, or these are ways to unlock characters. But the thing is, it's not just about buying the building and placing them down. You also have to unlock them after you buy them by harvesting. So what you do is you click on the harvest button on the main menu, and then like you play a little mini game where you launch your 2 harvesters, and then they have each of the new buildings that you purchase will have an empty health bar, and then you have to fill it up by hitting them by bouncing around your little workers and unlocking it that way. Like for example, I think the building all the way to the right that I have right here, you have to hit it at least like 4 times, and I've only hit it like 3 times. And so where you initially place down your buildings matters, because it's accessibility makes it easier in order for you to unlock it and actually get use out of it. But I didn't really pay attention to that when I was setting it up initially. But you can also pay some resources in order to relocate your already planted buildings and wheat fields and boulders and stuff. Also, you get to expand your lot in order to place even more buildings down. So it's a pretty cool minigame mechanic that's even more depth to this roguelike. So like I mentioned, the gameplay loop by itself, just like the main game of Brick Breaker, Risk of Rain, Hades, all smashed together, is already fun enough or on its own, but this minigame adds a little bit extra in order to have you keep going back. So what they have with this game going on over at the studio of Kenny's Son and Friends, they have like a really fun game that I keep coming back to. It's like sitting at overwhelmingly positive on Steam right now, which is well deserved. And so if you haven't checked this game out, if you're into games like Hades, Risk of Rain 2, or any other roguelikes or Brick Breakers games, I highly, like Galaga, or like I mentioned Brick Breaker, I highly recommend this game. I'm gonna keep playing it. I'm still playing it. I debated whether to film even more B-roll for this video, but I had to cut it somewhere for first impressions. But yeah, I really enjoy this. So if you're gonna check this out, let me know down in the comments down below. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and ring that noti bell. Let me know what indie game I should check out next. But kudos to Kenny's Sons and Friends, and it was published by Devolver Digital, which is pretty cool. They're known for their Enter the Gungeon series and other Switch 1 games that they released on year 1. But yeah, well, thank you and have a nice night. Bye.